Good evening. It is time for today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Wednesday, uh, April 5th, the year of our Lord 2023. It is our moniker today is they call him Danny. I'm not being disrespectful. That's what they call him. The new commissioner. Congratulations to Danny Werfel. He was sworn in yesterday as the 50th commissioner of the IRS. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Won't you join us? So again, no disrespect. I just think it's odd that he refers to himself as Danny. My cousins and some older friends, and when I was an iron worker, they called me Stevie. I don't know if I took a big time job with the IRS if I'd want them to call me Stevie. Okay. Just me, I guess. His real name is Daniel. At least that's what I understand. But he wants to be called Danny, so we call him Danny. They call him Danny. He's the 50th commissioner for the IRS. We have a little bit of a clip for him. You might remember we talked a lot about him during the confirmation when he was being confirmed, and we remember that he was the acting commissioner in 2013, right after Miller was when he resigned. I think by forced resignation based on the Lois Learner episode and the scandal, the IRS scandal. That's what happened there is the scandal, because not only going after the conservative groups, but also came out about all of this money that the IRS was wasting. They were doing these unbelievable conventions and video productions, which cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to have fun, and that was one of the reasons why their funding was being cut, because they were wasting so much money. And so now, fast forward 10 years, and what do? Double their budget. Tell them they didn't have enough money. And Danny Werfel is one of those that believe that the IRS has always been underfunded, and now they're just catching up. So the more than $24 billion a year, or by about $24 billion a year, is not enough. But he's going to make historic changes. Everything you thought was wrong with the IRS is now going to be right, and he's going to make it. Should we start there? Let's start there. Well, let's start with his. Let's start with the end. At least the end of his. We could start at the end of his. This is his speech yesterday when he was being sworn in, and just the end. It gives kind of a flavor of where we are with it, and I hope I can. I'm going to try to listen, so sometimes I have a problem with this, but let's see how that works, okay? Here it goes.
This is just the beginning. There will be more improvements in the next filing season and in the years to come. Throughout my term.
There'll be over the next filing season when he compares them to the last 2 years, when most of the IRS was at home, right? They didn't come to work. There was nobody there to answer the phones. There was nobody there to process the returns. That's why the IRS fell behind. Not because they didn't have the money. They were getting, $12 billion a year. And so now we're going to compare, we're better than we were last year or 2 years ago when nobody was there. Yeah, okay, we're better than that. Remember now, they just passed this Inflation Reduction Act not too long ago. So much of this money they had put 5,000 people in before the Reduction Act was set. So because they needed to move this along and process those returns. And so on top of their budget, the Congress had passed additional funding and allowed them to hire 5,000 new people. And that's what's making the change. Got nothing to do with the Inflation Reduction Act, in my opinion. But Attorney Leahy, that's not what he said. I understand. Let's listen to him.
My top priority will be to ensure that the IRS uses this historic investment wisely and in the way.
It's an investment. It's always the government spending is always an investment. Now remember, they've been trying to upgrade the IRS computer system for as long as I remember, and every year they put lots of money towards it, and every year it never gets done. But now they're going to double the budget, and actually a lot of that money doesn't have anything to do with that. Although I do think that as the enforcement mechanism, they will use a lot of that money for enforcement for IT, because they're going to use that. That's how they're going to come after a lot of people. And I've talked a lot about that, about AI and other machine language that they're going to use, machine learning, I should say, and that they're going to use against the American taxpayers. Now, Attorney Werfel, Commissioner Werfel, believes that the IRS is, without the IRS, we wouldn't be the country we are today, because they gather all the money, and without them, we would all be, we'd be in the Stone Age. I don't think that's true. I mean, really, the IRS didn't come to the first form of the IRS was around the Civil War, and then it didn't rise again until after the 1900s. So we made it all that time without the IRS. Could we have done it? Could we still do it without the IRS? Are they essential to the way we live? I don't think they are. I know that they do. They believe they are. Well, most government agencies believe that we couldn't function without them being there to function for us. And I think that's part of the problem. But let's continue.
Way that best benefits the country. This is our moment in history to transform the IRS.
To transform the IRS. Well, when you're given, $14 billion a year plus, and then another $80 billion, you could transform a lot with that kind of money, couldn't you? I mean, you better and then and we all know that funding's never going to go away, right? It's never going to go down. That $80 billion is never going to disappear. Oh, we don't need the $80 billion anymore. No, that's never going away.
Working together, I am confident we will fulfill our mission and achieve our goals. Decades from now, those leading the IRS will look back on our work as a moment of transformational change. They will say we delivered for the nation, and we never lost sight of our true north, our commitment to serving taxpayers and the nation. Thank you. This is just the beginning. There will be more improvements in the next.
So let's go back. So their commitment to serving taxpayers. Now, as a taxpayer, do you believe that the IRS is serving you? I mean, really? Do you believe the EPA is serving you? They strive to serve you. I'm sure that they believe that they're serving you. But is that what you as a taxpayer believe? That you're being served by the IRS? I like when you call the IRS and they tell you that, our next customer. I was like, I'm not really a customer. Am I? I don't want to be a customer of the IRS, although that's what they try to categorize us as customers, and they're worried about customer service. So anyway, let's read a couple let's read at least one story about this. I'm gonna have to change. Let me change this here. Go back to the story. Okay. So let's change that. Okay, so here's a story. The new IRS chief, growing the workforce will transform the agency, armed only with their calculators. And this is where it really troubles me, because you have to listen very carefully with what they say, because it's like when we talked about the old Rettig, who was the commissioner who was being replaced here. You had to listen to what he said, because he would say, it was always a straw man argument. And that's what this is too. That's what he's talking about. So let's read the story. The Biden administration will later this week release its detailed plan for spending the unprecedented $80 billion cash infusion from the Internal Revenue Service, with its new leader promising less wait time for customer service, better tracking of returns, and additional crackdowns on wealthy tax cheats. The Treasury Department missed its own deadline to issue the operating plan, drawing the ire of many in Congress. But Secretary Janet Yellen said during the swearing-in ceremony for Commissioner Danny Werfel, there it is, Danny Werfel, the administration would release it in the coming days. Werfel became the 50th person to head the IRS after Biden nominated him earlier this year, and the Senate confirmed him in a bipartisan vote last month. Remember, Joe Manchin voted against him. It was 52-48. So not really that bipartisan. Werfel, a former Office of Management and Budget official who briefly served as the acting IRS commissioner under President Obama, said the key leadership lesson he learned from his time in government was to trust his workforce. Leaders that come in with a belief that they have all the answers and do not engage and listen to the people who have been doing the work are bound to fail, Werfel said. Leaders who respect, engage, listen, and embrace the input and perspective of the workforce are at every level are far more likely to succeed. To succeed in government is different than succeeding. In my mind. He promised to give IRS employees the credit they deserve and better empower them with improved staffing levels and other resources. He's got $80 billion. He took a shot at Republican lawmakers who have falsely warned that significant hiring under the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, would lead to a new cadre of armed IRS agents targeting Americans. So this is what I was talking about. You have to watch what he says. Despite what some might think or say, these public servants within the IRS are armed only with calculators. Okay, so that's not in here because I should have put that on here. Because what he says is the civil division. The civil division. Well, of course, the civil division isn't armed with weapons. Only the criminal division is. So when he says, they're only armed with calculators, he qualifies that with just the civil division. Their work will give people confidence that all taxpayers, regardless of means, are being treated fairly under the tax laws. Do you think that Talibi, is that what his name is? The journalist who was recently testifying in Congress about the weaponization of the government, while he was testifying, the IRS came to his house. You think he thinks that? Despite what some might think or say, these public servants within the IRS are armed only with the calculators. I wanted to read that again. And their skills to help us address compliance issues. In the forthcoming plan, Werfel said, IRS will detail how it will end long phone wait times for taxpayers. Spend more money. That's how he's going to do it. Improve technology. Boost digital tools to reduce paperwork. Increase in-person assistance that has been sorely missing. And hire and train especially skilled staff. The changes will take several years to achieve, he added, but improvements from the funding are currently being felt. Yellen stressed the IRS has already added thousands of customer service employees, dramatically increased the answer rate for its phone lines, and reopened many tax centers. Again, when they're averaging 9% of phone calls, you got nowhere else but to go up, right? I mean, we're better than we were last year. Yeah, doesn't get much worse. Werfel added that decades from now, future IRS leaders will look back at the coming months and years as pivotal in the agency's. Oh yeah, that's the year they doubled our budget and never went back. We became the largest department in the federal government. This is our moment in history to transform the IRS. And I think really what they're going to be transforming is America as we know it. My own opinion. Because now we will be tracked and treated like, tax evaders. Because they need our money. And, I always say, at what cost are we going to let the IRS do this? What sane, free people not only has a agency like the IRS, but then doubles it and gives them carte blanche? What free people does something like that? I am more convinced, but after every election, that Americans really don't want freedom anymore. And they want high taxes and to be controlled by the government, because that's every election cycle that goes by. That is what's happening to us all. That's just the way it is. So I have come to the conclusion that that's what my neighbors and fellow citizens want. I'm still going to oppose it. I think many are with me on that. But congratulations to Commissioner Werfel. I hope he accomplishes his. Well, I'm going to be a little bit. He accomplishes his goals by improving the view of Americans on the IRS, by actually improving the IRS, by keeping them away from Americans. Because I don't think any American really wants to engage with the IRS. Well, let's have more service centers so people can engage the IRS and go talk to them. You think that's what people want? We just want to be left alone from the IRS. We don't want to engage them. We don't want to have to talk to the IRS. But we will have to, and that's not a good thing, in my opinion. So anyway, that's where we are. So thanks so much for joining us here today. I appreciate you. Remember, I'm going to always ask you to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We need your help. So like and subscribe. And remember, if you are fighting the IRS, if you have unfiled tax returns, if you owe the IRS money and you don't know where to turn, the first place you should go is freeirsbook.com. That's freeirsbook.com. Get your free copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. I will pay for the publishing if you pay for the shipping and handling. It's under $10. So go to freeirsbook.com. There's lots of bonuses there. You'll see them all at freeirsbook.com. So go there, get your copy, and let us help you. So thanks so much for joining us. Again, congratulations to Danny Werfel on his ascension to the commissioner of the IRS. We will be back here tomorrow. We hope that you join us. In the meantime, God bless. Good Friday's coming, so Holy Thursday's tomorrow. Another important day. So God bless you, and we are now out.